Hey guys, it's Shadow's home. I'm back from my vacation, and I figure to start things off, I'll just go ahead and do a quick, well, not so quick, but a overview of the 3.8 patch notes that Riot just announced. What was it? 6 p.m. today, and it's about 10 p.m., so about an hour ago. These literally just came out, they're hot off the presses, and figure I'd bring them to you, because why not? That's what I do anyway. So, with patch 3.8, Aatrox is in the game, but they will allow him to be playable at a later date, figure sometime next week. Tentatively, that is. They're probably just still trying to fix bugs and stuff like that, but yeah, Aatrox, the Darkened Blade, is now in this build. All of his assets are in, they just have to enable him. You know, they're letting pros test him a little more, make sure that he's balanced, and then, well, balance as far as they can right now, and then see how, you know, the general audience plays him after he gets released. But other than that, let's go through the patch changes. They changed a lot of stuff. Again, let's just talk about it. Annie. We've made some changes to Tibbers to make him tankier and more threatening presence in late game fights beyond his initial burst damage. Summon Tibbers. Tibbers' health increased to 1200, 2100, 3000, from 1200, 1600, 2000. Tibbers' magic resist increased to 30, 50, 70, from 25, 45, 65. The mana cost reduced to 100 all ranks, from 125, 175 to 25. So, he's more resilient to magic damage, he has more health, 1000 more health at max level, and he costs, 125 less mana at, the maximum rank. Pretty good for Annie because she did have a little mana problems here and there, especially early game. Let's be honest here, early game she did have a lot of problems. But as we can see, right here, she has, Tibbers has the same amount of health early game, level 1, same amount of health. Tibbers has 5 more magic resist at level 1. That's the biggest thing. At level 3, Tibbers has 5 more magic resist, and he has obviously 1000 more health. That's it. Plain and simple. Ashe. These changes allow Ashe players to use her passive in more strategic ways beyond the level 1 poke or incidental crit. Focus. Ashe now gains 3, 4, 5, 6 focus every focus stacks every second while not attacking instead of gaining critical strike chance. Ashe will now critically strike on her next basic attack when she reaches 100 focus stacks. Initial focus stacks are equal to Ashe's critical strike chance. Meaning if you have 20% crit chance, you have 20 focus. That's just while you're auto attacking. So at least that's what I'm understanding here. It might work differently. You guys will let me know in the comments down below. I'm positive. Quirky, Missile Barrage. Fix a bug where Missile Barrage would sometimes fail to deal damage. I've felt that a lot in ARAM games when I would get him, when he was free and stuff like that, because I don't own Quirky, I don't like playing Quirky, but, in ARAM I was like, alright, whatever. But I would actually see it visibly hit people, not deal damage. Glad they fixed that big bug. Hecarim. As a strong sustain fighter, Hecarim was blowing up squishy targets with Onslaught of Shadow's high damage and on impact fear. To balance this out, we've taken out the landing damage and shifted it into the riders that travel with Hecarim. The devastating charge buff should let Hecarim jump over small walls and ledges to his opponent when he dashes to them. Keep in mind, when we say small ledges, there are only a few in the game, like the river ledge and very thin walls, jungle walls. Obviously, I can't talk because, yeah, it's me. So anyway, devastating charge. If Hecarim's target is beyond narrow terrain, Hecarim will now leap over the terrain to the target. Meaning, I'll go ahead and just open this up in a new tab here. I'm going to go ahead and just Google Map or not Google Map, let's go ahead and look at this. You guys can actually see I'm typing this now, so let's just go ahead and look at this map really quick. So, as we can see, it's a nice big map, and there we go. What they mean by small ledges is like over here, you know, these small ledges, over here as well, through these little walls, not through these thick walls or these thick walls, but, you know, through small walls like this, and, you know, going towards Dragon, you know, over here, stuff like that, not thick walls like right here, right here. So, just to give you guys a, you know, preview, a Hecarim can go from here to up here to where, say, I don't know, a Shaco just, you know, deceived to. Something like that. Or go across the wall because he's chasing somebody that just flashed through the wall. Stuff like that. You know, small walls like that. It's a nice feature. Anyway, though, so now that we've got that clear, Onslaught of Shadows no longer deals damage at the end location. Rider damage increased to 150, 250, 350 plus 1.0 AP ratio from 100, 200, 300 plus 0.4 AP ratio. Meaning, if you have something like, say, Trinity Force, it'll do 390 damage instead of, because it does, no, I'm sorry, 380 because Trinity Force adds 30. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. It's pretty nice. Focused Resolve, or Karma rather, Focused Resolve was impractical because whenever players wanted to use it, they needed the healing up front, not over time. This change still emphasizes the leash break gameplay, but now appropriately rewards Karma for using Mantra on her W and keeping her enemies close. Inner Flame. Mana cost reduced to 50, 55, 60, 65, 70. I don't know what it was before, but the explosion radius has also been increased to 250 from 230. So, nice little buff for that. Focused Resolve. Now correctly gives vision of the unit while rooted. Mantra bonus, Renewal. No longer heals 25% of missing health. Now heals Karma for 20 plus 1% per 100 AP of missing health immediately upon casting, and another 20% plus 1% per 100 AP of missing health if the leash is not broken. Meaning, if you have 100 AP, let's just say you have 100 AP as Karma, you get 21% health just straight up, and then 21% more if the leash isn't broken. That's pretty good. You know, I'm not even gonna lie, that's really nice. And then Inspire. Mantra bonus, Defiance. Fixed a bug where Defiance's mini shields weren't applying the AP ratio. That's a pretty big deal that was causing a lot of players to die prematurely. Glad they fixed that. Kha'Zix. These changes to Kha'Zix are ultimately about giving him more viable choices when picking evolutions. Evolving Void Spikes granted such huge damage, high poke, and great utility that it was crowding out his other evolutions. Now Void Spike gets a slow as a part of the base skill, so its utility is there even at level 1. Taste Their Fears evolution was previously reliant on having targets isolated. Now works whether they are isolated or not, but does more damage against isolated targets, obviously because he's an assassin like that, and hey, why not? Making it a more reliable choice. We also increased Void Spike's or Void Assault's damage reduction while in stealth to make it a slightly more enticing choice, and to remind players of its additional utility. So, Taste Their Fear. Isolation bonus damage is now increased, or isolation. Let's try that again. Isolation bonus damage increased, isolation bonus now increases damage by 45%. Evolution adds 8% missing health damage. Can be further increased by isolation. That's nice. Void Spikes. Now slows target by 20% for 2 seconds. Mana cost reduced to 55, 60, 65, 70, 75 from 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. That was a big problem I had with Kha'Zix whenever I played him. You wind up really going relatively quickly. Now this will help with his mana issues early game. Bonus AD ratio increased to 1.0 from 0.9. So it'll do more AD damage. I believe they did take the think they did take away the AP damage. I'm gonna tell you guys now, go ahead and watch the patch preview that Riot put out, because I'll go more in depth on why they did that. But yeah, anyway, Evolution no longer consumes passive to apply effects instead of triple shot. Alright, I don't know what that means. To me, that my brain just died right there. I don't know what happened. And can no longer be cast during leap. That's a pretty big deal in my opinion. I would actually leap onto targets as I'm leaping in midair, hit Void Spike, hit them, and they would, flash. They would get hit by one, flash into another. So now you actually have to wait either before you leap or after you land from your leap to cast Void Spikes. But anyway, that's besides the point. Void Assault. Damage reduction while in stealth increased to 50% from 40, so 10% damage makes a big difference. That's pretty big, so we'll have to see how that, evolves and stuff like that. For this change, I feel it was necessary. Void Spike did, just on Void Spike right here, it did cost a lot of mana to cast, but it now actually does more damage, and it costs less mana. But you can't cast it at those opportune times while you're in midair. You can't go into stealth, leap, and while you're leaping, cast Void Spikes. You have to wait initially till you land. I just want to see how that plays into, goes into effect right there. And yeah, Void Assault, again, we'll have to see how that affects it. And Taste Their Fear, I love that change. That just allows me to go ahead, if I'm jungle Kha'Zix, just go and murder someone. And I mean just murder someone. Leap in. So what I would do is get level 1 Void Spike, level 1 Taste Their Fear, level 1 Jump, and then just boom, jump in, Taste Their Fear as soon as they're isolated, and oh my god, now it should do more damage. I can't wait to use it. Moving on, Kog'Maw. Void Ooze. Fixed the bug where the slow wasn't reduced by tenacity. Alright, decent bug fix there. I don't have input on that one. Lissandra. For a control mage with the kit she has, Lissandra was throwing out a lot of front-loaded damage. The intention of these changes was not only to lower her damage, but it also better highlights her in-fight control as her core strength. So, Ring of Frost. Cooldown reduced to 14, 13, 12, 11, 10 seconds from 18, 16, 14, 12, 10 seconds. So, early game, shorter cooldown, last level, same cooldown. Not a big difference there, but we'll see how that comes into play. Mana cost reduced to 50 from 70. Alright, that plays a pretty big deal, especially with a lower cooldown. It'll obviously allow her to cast it more often. I know there have been several times where I've been up against, say, like a Lux. I get a nice Ice Path or Glacial Path into Lux, get in right on top of Lux, and there's nothing she can do. I just Ring of Frost, but then I'm SOL because I can't do anything else because I'm But anyway, fix a bug where the root failed to apply if Lissandra died. That was pretty big, because what would happen sometimes is, I've seen it in not tournaments, but streams and stuff like that, where somebody will Glacial Path in, or they just get focused, they Ring of Frost, the second they die, it's like like that, they Ring of Frost die, but, you know, the Ring of Frost doesn't get applied. Glad they fixed that bug. Glacial Path. Cooldown now begins upon initial cast rather than upon reactivation or at the end of the missile. That's a nice change. That'll allow her to cast it more frequently. Obviously, you want to wait for her passive to be in effect before you do stuff like that, but it allows it to be casted more often. Obviously, late game, you don't have as much of a mana issue, but this will just help. And Frozen Tomb. Self-cast duration increased to 2.5 seconds from 1.5, so allows you to actually stay in there for longer, and the damage should be relatively the same. Slow increased to 20, 30, 40% from 20. So actually the slow scales with the level of your ultimate instead of just being a flat 20. I love that change. A lot of people were getting out of the ultimate too easily even at level 3. So this will just help with the slowing effect. But the damage reduced to 150, 250, 350 from 150, 300, 450. So overall 100 damage nerf on her for last level. Yeah, 100 damage nerf at level 3. But if you cast on yourself, you should in theory get more damage out of it. So we'll have to see how that comes into play. I don't necessarily know if that's a huge difference, but it's pretty big. Pretty big. I will say will help in conjunction with, say, Zanya's Hourglass, or if you happen to have a Seraph's Embrace, it'll help in conjunction with that a lot more. Just because, the duration on yourself lasts another whole second, it helps. Every second helps in League. Nautilus. If Nautilus gets ahead levels, he ends up with both high damage and high tankiness when leveling Titan's Wrath first. As a strong initiator tank with high crowd control, we reduced some of that mid-game damage output so he's less overwhelming when he snowballs. Titan's Wrath. Damage changed to 40, 55, 70, 85, 100 from 30, 55, 80, 105, 130. So overall, his Titans... Oh, and also fixed a bug where the AP ratio on hits was lower than intended. So overall, it'll do less damage at the last level, but early game it should still... In the first level and... What is it, the third level? No, first level, it does more, but after that it does the same, then less than it did previously. So that'll just help when people don't necessarily know Nautilus is coming, and he gets that uber gank off that we see every once in a while, where he gets a nice anchor off and grabs somebody and stuff like that, gets all of his combo off, and this just helps alleviate some of that initial damage you get. Other than that, I don't know how this will come to effect. Poppy. Heroic Charge. Spell has been refactored to better detect terrain. I very rarely see Poppy played, but we'll have to see how that comes into play. I own Poppy. I've just never had the desire to play Poppy. Sejuani. Sejuani's rework left her incredibly powerful in terms of overall damage and crowd control potential. We've tuned back some of those strengths to bring her more in line with other initiator tanks. So that's very good. I know people were reporting wins of like 100 win streak with Sejuani. 100 wins, 0 losses with Sejuani. Again, we'll have to see how this comes into play. Northern Winds. Bonus maximum health ratio reduced to 10% from 16. Okay. Permafrost. Reduced slow duration to 1.5, 1.75, 2, 2.25, and 2.5 seconds from 2, 2.25, 2.5, 2.75, and 3 seconds. So overall, it's half a second. It lasts half a second less. So that'll just help people, even with tenacity, get out of it that much quicker. In Glacial Prison, reduce the stun and slow duration to 1 1/4, 1.5, 1 3/4 seconds from 1/2, 1 3/4, 2 seconds. Again, that'll help with her crowd control and, just in general her CC. Obviously, it's not going to help with her tankiness, but it does help with the CC effect. I don't know exactly how that comes into play, but we'll have to see. Sona is consistently let's try that again. Sona is consistently strong support, so after we fixed a long-standing buff with Power Chord Diminuendo, we felt she would be a dominant pick without additional balancing. On that note, we reverted some of our older changes to Sona. These changes are designed to maintain her parity with other supports by lowering her early game burst and her late game durability while making her a little more forgivable in early game. Base health increased to 450 from 410. Alright, that's pretty good. Base armor increased to 11.3 from 9.3. Overall, she's a little more tankier early game, but that'll help, not die in 2 seconds. At level 2, mind you. Power Chord. Power Chord base damage changed to 13, 20, 27, 35, 43, 57, or 52, 62, 72, 82, 92, 102, 112, 120, or 122, 132, 147, 162, 177, 198, plus 8, or from 8, plus 10, 10 times level. So overall, I think that should theoretically do more damage. We'll have to see. I really haven't paid much attention. All I know is AP Sona, pretty redonkulous. We'll have to see how that comes into play. Obviously, they wanted to make her less bursty, but we'll have to see. An Aria of Presence. Fix the bug where Aria of Perseverance, rather. Fix the bug where Aria of Perseverance Power Chord Diminuendo was not decreasing damage dealt. Lowered the duration of Aria of Perseverance's Power Chord Diminuendo to 3 seconds from 4 seconds. By the way, for those of you that don't know, Diminuendo just means slow down. She's musical-based champion. Kind of plays into effect there. Anyway, bonus armor and magic resist to self and healed allies reduced to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 from 8, 11, 14, 17, 20. Alright, no big deal on that one, just means her and her allies are less tanky. And changed aura bonus armor and magic resistance to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 from 3, 4, or 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So early game she'll be a little more tanky, late game less tanky, obviously. Again, comes into effect with, that whole survivability thing. Or whole durability thing, rather. We'll have to see how this all plays out. I can't wait to try Sona out now. Some of you that have seen me stream and I play Sona, you know how, aggressive I can be as Sona. I get, good ult off and stuff like that, but we'll have to see how this all comes into effect with, just the whole synergy now with Sona and the rest of our team. Thresh. Death Sentence. Fix a bug where Thresh could cast Flay while casting Death Sentence. Death Sentence, for those of you that don't know, was Thresh's grab. That's his grab that was able to yank people to him or yank him to people. That was a pretty big bug. I was able to do that a few times. Not a lot, but just a few times. Glad they fixed that bug. Varus. Piercing Arrow. Fix the bug where casting Piercing Arrow while targeting an enemy would cause Varus to stop moving. That was a pretty huge bug I saw a couple of times when I played Dominion. It was hilarious because I was not that Varus. The Varus was on the other team and it was hilarious. Glad they fixed that. Vi. Blasting Shield. Or Blast Shield. Fix a bug where Blast Shield's cooldown at level 1 was 1 second longer than intended. Glad they changed that bug. She needed, she still needs bug fixes here and there. She's a wonky champion. Let's put it that way. Vault Breaker. Fixed a... Okay, no idea why that happened. Let's go all the way back down. Alright. Third time's the charm. So, Vault Breaker. Fix a bug where casting Vault Breaker while targeting an enemy would cause Vi to stop moving. Again, fix that bug. It was kind of hilarious when that happened too. But anyway, yeah, that's it for the champion changes, it looks like. Let's go on to everything else. General champion notes. Targeting wall jump abilities now check. Targeted wall jump abilities now check both sides of the wall for the closest location of the cursor, so players don't jump fail into a wall when the other side was clearly in range. We've added a new targeting indicator to show how far the target is knocked back for the following abilities: Alistar's Headbutt, Lee Sin's Dragon's Rage, Poppy's Rogue Charge, Vayne's Condemn. We've improved consistency for abilities that behave inconsistently when the target enemy uses flash. We're clearing up these interactions so that either the ability won't cast or flash won't be used up. It will be one or the other, never both. So Jace's Thundering Blow, Singe's Fling, Skarner's Impale, and Volibear's Rolling Thunder. Meaning, if you got, you were, let's say Sona, and you had a Volibear running after you, and you used Flash to get away as he used Rolling Thunder, one or the other will happen, never both. So one thing will go on cooldown, the other will not. That's pretty big change right there. Glad they fixed that, because you would see people like, again, Singe, for instance, getting a nice fling off on somebody that just flashed away, and the person that flashed away thought he got away, but this, the fling tosses him right back to Singe. Like, what the hell? Glad they fixed that bug. Oh, that was pretty big. But I'm also glad that they, have targeting indicators now on these abilities. That was pretty big when you never knew exactly how far you would push somebody back to with, Vayne's Condemn or Alistar's Headbutt. Changes to slow zones. All slow zones now update on a quarter-second interval, meaning when you move out of the slow effect, the slow will still wear off almost immediately, unless you are hit by an ability that applies an individual slow, like Kog'Maw's Void Ooze. Which means your champion's movement speed will now be restored more quickly when leaving a slow field, but the slow within the fields have not been changed. These changes should make interacting with slow zones more intuitive while rewarding players who react quickly, as stepping out of slow fields will reward you faster. Sorry guys, I'm a little tired here, but anyway, this small nerf to most of the champions affected, but we will be closely monitoring champions affected by these changes. The following abilities have had their slow refresh rates reduced to 0.25 seconds. Singe's Mega Adhesive, Lux's Lucent Singularity, Gangplank's Cannon Barrage, Lulu's Wild Growth, Misfortune's Make It Rain, Trundle's Pillar of Ice, Varus's Hail of Arrows, Victor's Gravity Field, Vladimir's Sanguine Pool. Lux's Lucent Singularity now also applies a 0.25 second slow to targets hit by the detonation. Kog'Maw's Void Ooze missile also applies a 1-second slow to target struck. So, overall, that will help. I want to say that will help just everybody, because I know I would always get out of like Singe's Mega Adhesive, for instance, relatively quickly, but still be slowed. Say we're in the middle of, say we're dead center in the middle between the two towers. We're like at the river. Singe tosses it in front of me. I get hit by it a little bit, and I'm far away from it, still slowed. I'm glad they have that updated now, to where it's, the quicker you get out of it, the quicker you are back to your, original movement speed. I love that. Great change, and can't wait to see how that actually comes into play, both just regular standard play and competitive as well. Items. We've lowered the price on a number of starting items to give players more options with consumables and general builds. Boots of Speed. Cost reduced to $325 from $350. Items that build from Boots of Speed have had their recipe costs increased by 25 to help negate the 25 gold cost reduction on the regular Boots of Speed. Very, decent change right there. Glad I can actually get, one more pot out now when I buy, or close to one more pot out when I buy boots. Can get boots in 4 potions instead of, boots in 3. So that's nice. Doran's Ring. Cost reduced to 400 from 470. Health reduced to 60 from 80. Mana Restore Kill reduced to 4 from 5. For those of you that don't know, obviously it costed 475 gold to buy, give you 80 gold or 80 bonus health, and every time you killed a monster or killed something, you got 5 gold or 5 mana in return, as well as the mana regen you got from Doran's Ring. This will help so you can get 2 potions and stuff like that, or buy a ward and be a little more defensive that way. Doran's Shield now costs 440 gold from 475. Armor reduced to 0 from 5. Health regen increased to 10 from 8. And unique passive now blocks 8 damage from champion instead of 8 damage from champion basic attacks from 6. So it doesn't give you armor anymore, but it gives you more health regen and blocks 2 more damage. So it's a good trade-off. Plus you can actually get a potion now as well with your Doran's Shield. Can't wait to see how that comes into play as well. We're removing the randomness from Madrids and Wriggles to increase the consistency while allowing players to plan out their jungle routes better. Wriggles wasn't very enticing, so we've tuned its stats to be worthy of a slot later in the game for those who can take advantage of it. All instances of Rend as a passive have been changed to Maim. Maim is now the passive that refers to dealing bonus magic damage to monsters with every basic attack. Butcher is the passive that refers to dealing % bonus damage to monsters from all sources. So, there could be times where you were, say, Jungle Warwick, you were able to get Dragon at level 6 for, 3 games in a row, but then couldn't do it, 5 games because you didn't get good Madrid procs. They're taking the randomness out of that, and also, so that you can leave, you can plan on leaving that blue up for your, you being able to tank that blue for your, mid lane or something like that, without you accidentally taking it with a lucky proc. That's a good change. Glad they changed that. We'll have to see how that comes into play as well. Hunter's Machete, unique passive. Ren changed to unique passive. Unique passive Maim. Now deals 10 bonus magic damage to monsters with every basic attack. Alright, they said they were going to be doing that. They did. That's pretty good. Spirit Stone, unique passive. Ren changed to unique passive Maim. Now deals 10 bonus magic damage to monsters with every basic attack. Again, that's pretty good. Madra's Razors. Unique Maim. Now deals 60 bonus magic damage to monsters with every basic attack. No longer deals bonus magic damage to minions. So in theory, you should still be able to get the same amount of damage out, but it's no longer that 25% chance. Well, again, we'll have to see how all this comes into play when we start playing it and we see the pros doing it and stuff like that, and see how they do it, because that's what Riot goes based off of, is the pros. That's the best way to tune everything, is not just the general. It's, alright, how are the pros doing? Are they noticing stuff are, are they noticing items are imbalanced, stuff like that? That's the best way to tune your game. That's the same thing, Blizzard does with StarCraft 2. Glad Riot does that as well. Wriggle's Lantern. Unique passive Maim. Now deals 100 bonus magic damage to monsters with every basic attack. No longer deals bonus magic damage to minions. Unique active. War duration reduced to 90 seconds from 180. Cooldown reduced to 90 seconds from 180. Attack damage increased to 25 from 15. Lifesteal increased to 15% from 10%. Armor reduced to 25 from 30. Combined gold cost increased to 500 from 100. Total cost increased to 2,000 from 1,600. So right there, for Wriggle's Lantern, it does more damage than Magic's Razors. You no longer get the passive like you do, like you did previously. The wards last for half the duration, but they have, it has half the cooldown. So it's an even trade-off there. They upped the attack damage, they upped the AP or the lifesteal you get, they reduce the armor you get. Right there, you get more sustain. You get more sustain like that, but a little less survivability, if that makes sense. You have a little less armor, but more more lifesteal and more damage to make up for it. So we'll see how that comes into play as well. I can't wait to try that out as Warwick and see how quickly I can clear the camps with that. A few patches back, we buffed a number of jungle items to make it more enticing for junglers. The changes, however, made the items so effective that even lane champions were buying them with no regard for the butcher passive. We want lane champions to consider these in strategies that center on poaching jungle camps or helping with map objectives. But ultimately we want these to feel like we ultimately want these to feel like the optimal choice for junglers first. Spirit of the Ancient Golem. Unique passive Butcher. Bonus or damage bonus to monsters increased to 30 from 25, so it does more damage to monsters, not minions. Hence, it'll do more damage to stuff in the jungle. Not just, hey, it's quicker farming for your ADC and stuff like that. Spirit of the Elder Lizard. Attack damage reduced to 35 from 45. Unique passive Butcher. Bonus damage to monsters increased to 30% from 25. Again, that is making it less enticing for your ADC, your top lane, whoever, and more enticing for the jungle. Same thing with the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. AP reduced to 40 from 50, and the damage to monsters increased to 30 from 25%. Again, making it more valuable for the jungler, not the laner. I can't tell you how many times I saw the AP mid go for the Spirit of the Spectral Wraith because it also did more damage to minions. No longer. Anyway, we've moved Melody's passive to the other two attack speed on hit items to further solidify Nashar's Tooth's niche role as an AP focused auto attacker item, while moving the Magic Shred to Wit's End to better synergize with the magic damage based fighters. Sunfire Cape combines well with Wit's End, even for champions that don't deal magic damage. Melody has been removed as it has been a poor fit in the current space that it was in. Recurve bow. Cost reduced to 900 from 950. Alright, pretty... not a big deal on that one. 50 gold more, you can get something else. Malady, removed from the game. No longer he can get Malady. I loved that on Teemo, but you can't get that anymore. Nashor's Tooth. Combined cost increased to 920 from 500. AP reduced to 60 from 65, but additional passive. Basic attacks deal 15 plus 15% AP as bonus magic damage on hit. Meaning if you're somebody like, say, Diana or your AP Kale, that helps in a big, big way. Or say your AP Teemo, again, helps in a big, big way. I want people that play Diana to get that and just shred through people because it now helps you do more damage. That's the biggest thing about Nashor's Tooth now. It helps you do more damage. Yeah, it costs more, but it'll help do more damage in the long run. You know, over the course of, say, a 30-second team fight, if you're a Diana that has, say 1.5, you attack every second and a half, it helps a lot. Again, we'll just have to see how this comes into play. Wit's End. New recipe, recurve bow, plus no magic mantle, plus dagger, plus 700 gold. It's 2400 gold total. Attack speed increased to 42% from 40. Revised passive. Basic attacks steal 5 magic resist from the target, stacking up to 5 times. Meaning, again, better synergizes with Sunfire Cape. Because Sunfire Cape does magic damage, you now also shred magic resist. So it'll do even more damage if you have Sunfire Cape. So say you are somebody like, say, Shen, you generally build a Wit's End regardless. Now they'll still help you be a little more tanky and do a little more damage. That's it in a nutshell. I like that change, and it does add a little more flair to the game, so to say. Maps. Summoner's Rift. We've increased the initial spawn times of jungle creeps to get rid of the frustration experience advantage players could get by killing certain jungle camps before laning phase. This was much requested change from a lot of pro teams around the world, as the only real counter was to switch lanes or to try prevent it altogether. Meaning you'd have that 2 top, 1 bottom situation for say, the blue team, where the ADC and support were the top lane, and the tanky bruiser that was top is now on the bottom. Stuff like that. So hopefully and again, pro teams around the world, they listen to pros, that's what they have to do. Anyway, the other changes are to reassure junglers, since they won't be able to start with wolves or wraiths anymore, heading to their buffs. Faster spawns will also help some champions who have exceptionally higher clear times and want to stay in the jungle. Overall, this will be a buff for junglers across the board, as we've opened up additional jungle route options for them. On that note, junglers traditionally have high impact in the early game, so there is some concern that these changes may be making them too strong in that area. We will be closely monitoring the situation to see if we need to further balance further rather. So jungle. The wolves' initial spawn time increased to 1 minute 55 seconds from 1 minute 40. Respawn time reduced to 50 seconds from a minute. Wraiths. Initial spawn time increased to 1 minute 55 seconds from 1 minute 40. Golems, which are the golems, near the bottom or near the top, depending on which side you happen to be on. Initial spawn time increased to 1 minute 55 from 1 minute 40. Spawn time reduced to 50 seconds from a minute. Ancient Golem, which is the blue buff. Base experience granted Base experience granted increased to 340 from 220. Now plays a particle or practical effect to show or particle effect to show who the buff transfers to. Lizard Elder, which is the red buff. Now base experience increased to 340 from 220. Now plays a particle effect to show who the buff transfers to. And Young Lizard base experience granted increased or reduced to 10 from 40. Overall, they did say you should be able to hit level 2 on your first, like if you're going for red or blue. But this is just help, say somebody like Warwick or just any jungle champion that would just always go for blue or red regardless. I like this change and I can't wait to do that. Help me not be like, oh, I have to get blue, I have to get wolves first. No. Get your blue, then get your wolves, then get your red. Stuff like that. Twisted Tree Line, nobody really cares about it, but I will just go over it anyway. Enabled several items. Hunter's Machete, Spirit Stone, Spirit of the Ancient Golem, Spirit of the Ancient Lizard, and Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. Nobody really cares about Twisted Tree Line, so whatever. Crystal Scar, which is Dominion, added Dominion Vision, added Dominion variants of several items. Tear of the Goddess, Crystal Scar, Mana per charge increased to 5 from 4, Manamune, which is the AD item, Mana per charge increased to 8 from 4, Archangel Staff, which is the AP version of the Tear of the Goddess, Mana per charge increased to 10 from 6, Rod of Ages, Crystal Scar, now grants every 40 seconds and down from 60 seconds. So you get the stacks quicker, but it'll still stack up to the same amount. I'm glad they, added variants of, items like that. It needed that to spice it up a little more. Howling Abyss added several items. Hunter's Machete, Spirit Stone, Spirit of the Ancient Lizard, Spirit of the Ancient Golem, Spirit of the Spectral Wraith. I don't know why you needed those on Howling Abyss, but whatever. Shop close distance is now calculated from the spawn, not the shop. Pretty good. Shop close distance increased to 1600 from 1400, so it means you can shop from further away from that main tower that like 2 shots people. Fix a bug causing players to become stuck if they wiggled behind blue laser turrets. That's the tower that 1 or 2 shot people. Poros have gone through an additional 80s action movie training montage and now have some resistant to lasers. No idea what those are. Honestly, I have no idea what the hell those are. None. Game interface. Minimap and HUD. The player's nameplates will not always be drawn last, causing it to appear over allies and enemy health plates. Item shop. The search items Spooky Ghost, Bork, for Blade of the Rune King and stuff like that. AA, NLR, Soto, SOTD, D-Shield, D-Blade, and D-Ring have been added to the in-game shop. AA meaning Archangel Staff, I believe. NLR, no clue. Soto, no clue. No clue what SOTD means. D-Shield, I believe, is Doran's Shield. D-Blade, Doran's Blade. And D-Ring, obviously, Doran's Ring. Spooky Ghosts, I would have to assume, is going to be whatever that item is that actually allows you to send spectral ghosts out that reveal to the nearest, enemy champions and, I believe, slow them. Anyway, custom item sets. Item sets will no longer be lost when a player changes their summoner name. Game menu. The key binding page has been recognized to be easier to use, or reorganized to be easier to use. Gifting animation. Gifting animation has been updated. Whatever. Custom game mini-maps. Custom game mini-maps updated to include unique mini-maps for each map. League system. Added the ability to spectate players and teams in Challenger tier via an option in the League's menu. Added notifications to inform players when they are close to hitting LP decay for an activity in ranked queues. That'll actually help people like myself who don't play ranked as often as we would like. Like, hey, you really should play, ranked so you don't go into decay and bump down to, bronze or whatever. Player behaviors. Behavior alerts. The PvP.net client will now display new warning alerts for players with spikes of negative action in order to help course correct them as soon as possible with quick and direct feedback. Players with recently detected unsportsmanlike behavior will see a warning after the end of game screen. Alerts will now follow every player report alert. Let me try that again. Alerts will now follow every player report. Alerts are targeted towards players that exhibit uncharacteristic spikes of highly negative behavior. General. The loading screen no longer appears off-center if in your monitor after a champion select one borderless or window mode. Thank you! Thank you! Oh my god! That was a big bugbear for me. I can't tell you guys how many times I tried casting a game where I would have the screen be normal and I change it to it's in windowed mode and it winds up being from up here winds up being off center down here like where my mouse is now. Thank you, Riot! I wanted that change. That was well needed. Thank you. Anyway, included a possible fix for an issue that would cause LOL to open in the bottom right of the screen on computers under heavy load. Logitech monochrome keyboards should no longer clear their display when the last two heads up buttons are pressed. And Logitech keyboards should no longer change their brightness when your champion is dead. I don't own a Logitech keyboard, so that doesn't affect me, but this right here that I'm trying to highlight, but my mouse is, stupid and doesn't want to, that I needed. Those of you that have watched me stream have heard me swear before, because that has happened dozens of times. Cannot express my gratitude for them finally changing that. Thank you. Anyway, guys, that is it. As always, I'll put a link in the description below for you guys to go ahead and check out the YouTube patch preview that they did, that Riot did, an hour and a half ago now. Been going on for quite some time. But anyway, guys, yeah, that's it. I'm taking League replays in now. Go ahead and send them to sgamingtech@gmail.com. It's in the description below that you can send the emails to. Also taking StarCraft 2 and Dota 2 replays. And I'll be making more videos soon because I'm back from vacation. And thank you all. Yeah, you guys should understand how good I feel now with this right here. The loading screen, that just made my day. Anyway, guys, I know this has been a long video. I know it dragged on for a while, but thank you for sticking with me. And again, I'm taking, your League of Legends, your StarCraft 2 and Dota 2 replays. My email is in the description down below. I just email me your replays. I got League replay. I will go ahead and watch them. I'm not going to re-watch them to see if it's a good game or not. I'll go ahead and cast it regardless. If I feel it's up to snuff, I'll go ahead and put it up on YouTube. If not, then I might recast it. But yeah, anyway, that's it, guys. My name has been Shadowswalm. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I will talk to you all next time.